Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public service announcement. For regular viewers and listeners of AWI Pod, please do not be offended, as this program contains good wrestling.
It's my life in the box in front of me. Taking talk in my arms is the soul of me. You walk by, as you see me laying face down. Come and find the thorn in your eye.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another action-packed episode of Warring to Attitude. I said last week was episode 24, but I was a liar because last week was 23. This week is 24, and I may be a liar again. Perhaps this is 25. We don't know. I'm your host, Brent Miles, at AWI Pod on your Twitter or X or whatever the fuck you call it now. And of course, with me as always is a man who lives across the ocean and is from the future. Here's the ballroom brawling, disco dancing, dynamite stretching, intercontinental playboy. Folks, he's more over than a stadium stampede match. G.A. Russell, Glenn, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I've got no skewers sticking out the top of my head or a fork.
I don't know what that looked like. That looked like a bunch of chopsticks.
Long chopsticks, but it looked like a funny hairdo by the time they'd stuck him into his head and they sort of separated. It was nasty. It was nasty.
So full disclosure here, I did not watch the All-In pay-per-view yesterday, but Glenn did have a look at it and he enjoyed what he saw, right, Glenn? Except for a few things.
The funniest thing I saw in that Stadium Stampede match was at one point, who was it? Oh, because you know my Eddie Kingston crashes into the bar because this is going on everywhere within the stadium as it says, buddy. And
I live in Nebraska and I know what a stampede is.
And who's sitting at the bar but Session Moth Martina, as she would be.
I mean, I imagine any bar you run into, she's there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's good. That's good to see that Martina was on the show. That's great.
She said she got to work for AEW as a barmaid. I've just seen, I'm looking at the results because you know my memory is absolutely dreadful. MJF and Adam Cole defeated Aussie Open. Hook defeated Jack Perry in the pre-show matches, which I didn't see because I didn't enjoy.
I don't know if this is all bullshit, but I heard there was a pre-show match between Jack Perry and CM Punk behind the scenes.
Apparently so.
But Miro did quote tweet that. I don't know if Miro was even there. Maybe he was, and he said that that's all bullshit. So who knows?
Yeah. But I can't see unless it's setting up some sort of feud between Jack Perry and CM Punk. But if they are, then why have Hook go over Jack Perry?
Yeah, I don't know. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense.
No. The first one I did see was CM Punk against Samoa Joe. Now, the last time I actually saw Joe in action was in his dying days in NXT, where he wasn't very good.
I remember maybe against Karrion Kross when he won the NXT championship, because he won the NXT championship and then we never saw him again.
Yeah, which wasn't very good. So this was a nice surprise. It was more like the old Joe, even doing the thing where he did the old walk away. And I don't actually think CM Punk was expecting it, because there was quite a lot of shocked look on his face when he realized that Joe wasn't going to catch him and the floor was coming up to meet him at speed.
Or maybe that's just Punk selling good, because those guys have wrestled each other like a million times. So Punk's got to know he ain't going to be there.
Yeah. Anyway, it was what it was. It was a decent match to open up, and Punk defeated Joe, which, considering that Punk is sort of headlining this Saturday evening shenanigans. That's understandable, really.
Yeah, I think he's already referring himself as the uncrowned AEW champion, correct?
Yeah. They had poor old JR on commentary for a cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Before he got hooked. No relation to the other hook.
I was going to say.
Yeah, it was I know it was supposed to be, I think, they're supposed to have Tony. They were supposed to be swapping around and have Tony Schiavone in, obviously, for the Sting Darby Allin against whatever that was. But yeah,
Who did they face? Was it Swerve? Wasn't it Swerve and
Swerve and but we'll get to that. But let's have a look, see where we go. Yeah, they sort of, after the Punk, we had the triple threat 6-man tag match.
Triple threat 6-man tag match.
Yeah, sorry, it's a 6-man. I had 2 lots of 3.
Okay, well, I mean, I wouldn't put it past, and that just sounds like a mayhem to me. I'm glad it wasn't a 3-way. I'm glad it wasn't a 3-way 3-match.
It was Takeshita Bullet Club Gold, which is Juice Robinson and Jay Wyatt. And they are up against the Golden Elite, which is Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page. So basically, it was old Bullet Club against new Bullet Club.
Right.
That was a good match. As I said, the commentary, poor old JR got lost in this match. So at the end of that match, they basically said that Tony Schiavone is tagging in, and we never heard from JR again. It's sad. It's sad. I don't know. I can understand them trying to give him a payday, but just retire him off. Give him a nice little pension and retire him off now.
You could give him a payday.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that Jim Ross can't contribute anything to the business, because he can. It's just his days, his commentary probably are behind him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then we had what we might consider was the match of the night, which was for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. It was FTR, as it would be, against the Young Bucks. And considering my feelings on the Young Bucks, and I know yours as well, FTR actually got a decent wrestling match out of them.
Here's the thing that I will say about the Young Bucks. When they used to wrestle when they had matches in New Japan, I did enjoy watching them when they were in New Japan, because there wasn't as much bullshit. And like, when I say bullshit, it's just the stuff they do is so corny sometimes. It's just absolutely corny. And they didn't do that shit in New Japan. And so I assume that was kind of like the...
Yeah, it was sort of that they weren't going to get away with it with FTR either.
Like I said yesterday, me and you, or me and Mayor, or you and the Mayor could have a good match with FTR. I mean,
yeah. FTR retained the title, which I was surprised and happy about. I thought with everything that was going on with a certain member of FTR at the moment, that they'd put the titles on the Bucks.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised. But I mean, the Young Bucks have won the AEW Tag Team titles how many times?
Oh, God knows. No, actually, not that many.
You're probably right. It's probably not more than 2. I think it's only 2 or 3. So I think you're right.
Yeah, I think they've put more people over than they've actually won that title. Do you think they put Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus over?
Yeah, they did. That's true.
The times.
That's true.
And then there was the clusterfuck. Excuse me, the Stadium Stampede match. Needless bleeding and violence for needless bleeding and violence. And that's all that was.
And like a pure disclaimer I know certain people are into that. That's just not our speed. That's just not what we're into. I've never liked to really look at stuff like that at all. Even back in the ECW days, some of that stuff was even too bloody for me when I was a teenager. So So that's just not something that I'm into.
No, nor me. So the less said about that, the better, really.
Right. We'll leave that to people who like to look at that.
Yeah, if that's your bag, feel free to go and watch that. We had the women four-way for the AEW Women's World Championship. It was short. It was only 8 minutes 50 for a four-way match. It didn't give people a lot of time to. There seemed to be more shenanigans before the bell than during the match. Saraya looked as good as she's done for years. And I put that down to the fact they're in England and she's been spending time at home, probably in the family gym.
I didn't see this match, but I saw something on Twitter that I can tell you right now that Toni Storm was looking good. I don't know how she wrestled, but other than
Storm's looking amazing at the moment.
Lord Jesus. I saw her promos too, and that new character she's doing. That's some good shit right there, man.
Then we had a coffin match. I suppose they played on words a bit in the commentary because they said this was the first ever coffin match at Wembley. Now, technically, that's true because in 1992, The Undertaker and Kamala had a casket match. But the difference between a casket and a coffin are so.
Okay, the difference between a casket and a coffin you just go buy at the store. A casket is handmade, beautifully done in a 6 to 9 month period by the Undertaker himself. That's
it. Yeah, that is probably the difference.
I'm glad I could clear that up.
And of course, it's Swerve Strickland, Christian Cage.
Oh, that's cool.
It's Darby Allin and Sting. So there was lots of Sting, rather than having his usual baseball bat, had a cricket bat.
Of course. Yeah.
Of course, because they were in England. At one point, Darby Allin had his hands gaffer taped together. So he was going around, bouncing around and doing coffin drops and spears with no arms.
If you like Darby Allin, I just want to ask you if you're going to like to watch him be in a wheelchair, because that's where he's going.
He's going that way. They've got this huge. Well, to be fair, when I try to explain the difference between a coffin and a casket to you guys on one episode of Mayor of Superstars.
Yeah.
I think when we were looking at the original building of the casket and everything. And I said a coffin is like a box with sides that looks like the shape of a person with a small top. But a casket is more of a box, in an ornate box. Well, what they had there was a casket. It was an ornate box. It was a heavy, solid ornate box. And of course, Darby Allin has to go off the top of the turnbuckle and smash himself straight onto it. No give, nothing.
Well, duh. That's like when the mayor tells us that he's listening to Hulk Hogan's theme music on the way to work on Friday. Yeah, man, we know.
Yeah.
We knew you did it. We knew it was coming.
Anyway, the faces got over, so everybody was happy with that.
I'm looking forward to the day Darby Allin loses one and then somebody sets that motherfucker on fire. Just saying.
Yeah.
My own personal.
Oh. And then we had Mr. Ocean Spray against Chris Jericho. As you said, 2 pricks in the ring, and I'm not going to put the other bit that I mentioned when I let you know that it was Aubrey referee in the match. Anyway, that's what it was. Ospreay beat Chris Jericho. At the end of the match, Sammy Guevara is trying to.
Oh my God! Is it the penis battle royal? Is it the dick battle royal? Is it the dick face battle royal? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
I would have
He's,
turned the whole fucking show. I would have thrown my TV out the window at that point. I would have just tossed it out the window.
he's trying to bring him round, and Jericho wakes up, dismisses Sammy Guevara, and storms off up the aisle. So obviously that's setting up a breakup of the Jericho Appreciation Society or whatever they call themselves.
That's still happening?
I think Sammy was the last member.
Okay.
Not watching it regularly, I don't really know, but I knew that it was sort of he was the last one, and now Jericho's turned his back on him, so that'll give him a few more weeks of programming there.
I tried to keep my bad. I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't have anything nice to say about anybody involved in that match.
No,
good wrestlers, judge character of human beings. And then you brought in Sammy Guevara, and I'm like, I can't take it anymore.
Anyway, after that, it was Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed, Anthony Bowen and Max Caster.
Hey, Glenn, that's raw on this thing.
Eh?
That's a goddamn Glenn. How much is raw on this thing?
Yeah. They were up against the House of Black. This was a house rules, no holds barred, 6-man tag match for the AEW World Trios Championship. And to be fair, the Acclaim, they're really over. This Sesame gimmick, they had people in the crowd with huge pairs of scissors, obviously cardboard ones, but
right, not really.
Pink and waving them about. And yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was entertaining. Again, the faces won. I did like the fact that the House of Black came out to the Fireflies.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
It played tribute to Wyndham.
And the reason why I put my head in my hands and like rub my face like that, I don't have nothing against any of the wrestlers in that match. It just sounds like there's a lot of no DQ matches, and it just sounds like a lot of
It was. And then we got the singles match for the AEW World Championship. The schmooze fest that was between MJF and Adam Cole. This thing about best buddies fighting, and then all it was really. Hang on a sec. I'm just going to turn the light on, otherwise you're going to be losing me because it's getting dark.
I don't want to be talking to And Glenn said, "Let there be light."
That's better.
There we go.
All this was really MJF won by pinfall. They teased the breakup at the end, and then it was all big hugs and smiles, and they're still the World Tag Team Champions. And it was just
a baby face now, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was just a schmooze fest, really.
I saw him he did a dive during the match, I saw. So there was that.
Sorry?
He did a dive out of the ring during the match, I saw.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Because they were saying, oh, he's never going to do a dive, and out he went.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that. I was entertained by it. That's the best I can say about it.
I mean, whatever you want to say. I mean, I don't really watch AEW. It's not really my thing. But big for wrestling to be able to do something like that, and that's always fucking good. I think it's always a good thing. And if you're mad about one company doing something over another, you don't work there, so stop being fucking stupid.
I know it's ridiculous, isn't it? And mind you, it doesn't help that AEW is showing it down their neck, showing it down everybody's necks last night. Oh, this was the biggest attended wrestling event in history. So they're basically just dismissing every WrestleMania and everything.
Well, I guess I don't know. I really don't know the numbers of all this shit. I know that they made a lot of money and they sold a lot of tickets and a lot of people were happy. So that's really all that matters.
Well, that's all that matters.
Yeah. That's really
And hopefully this will stir WWE up into getting us a WrestleMania over here in the next few years.
I think it's going to happen now because if there's anything that the people in charge there have, it's an ego.
Yeah.
And if they think they're going to outsell me, well, watch this, motherfucker. You don't think that's going to happen? It's happening, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing that happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It probably won't be at Wembley because it seems like AEW got Wembley sewn up for the foreseeable. They're already booked next year's. Somewhere like but somewhere like the Etihad or Old Trafford, or somewhere in Manchester or somewhere like that. That's going to easily do those sort of figures,
right?
For a wrestling show, even in Cardiff again.
They should have done it in money. They should have done it for Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. There's Glenn's little review of the AEW All In show. But now, Glenn, are you ready to talk some 1997?
I am.
So we're on to a pay-per-view, Glenn. It is In Your House. Cold Day in Hell took place on May the 11th, 1997 from the Richmond Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia. The Richmond Coliseum here has held 3 WWF pay-per-views over the years. It held this one in 97, Armageddon in 2006, Backlash in 2016, and I don't have any big notes from this arena, like Poison didn't shoot any videos here or anything. It was closed down in 2019, and its last event was the Harlem Globetrotters basketball game. Glenn, are you familiar with the Harlem Globetrotters?
I have seen the Harlem Globetrotters live a couple of times over here, yes.
Well, goddamn, pal. I mean, I figured, but I didn't know for sure that they had been over there. Not surprised. Definitely. It's interesting. They have a baseball thing over here now. It's kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters. They're called like the Savannah Bananas or something.
Oh, right.
And it's a bunch of like weird shit. They like play on stilts for an inning, and then they're like dancing. And
yeah,
I think if I went and saw that after about an inning, I'd be like, why the fuck are they doing this dumb shit? Let's just play baseball. But that's because I'm almost 40.
There's only so many times you can see a ball hit off a tee or that sort of thing.
Right. Before I'm just like, all right, I don't want to see outfielders dance anymore.
No.
I don't want to see that. So they show a really cool video package opening the pay-per-view. You know, WWE is the best at doing video packages. Also, Glenn, did you feel like they upped the pyro budget for this show?
Yes. Yeah, they seem to. This actually, unlike Revenge of the Taker, this actually felt like a pay-per-view.
Yes. The setup of it felt bigger with like the rampway. They have the In Their House thing with them. They have like the big steel rampway that brings it down. And the arena just looked bigger. Like, it's not a huge arena by any means, but it was definitely bigger than the garage that they had the last pay-per-view in.
Well, they got 9,300 in there, so that's not.
It looked bigger than that.
Sorry?
I thought it looked bigger than that. I thought it looked bigger than 9,000.
Yeah, but if it only takes sort of 10,000, if that's the fire limit is 10,000, 9,300 is not bad because you have to put a thing in there as well.
Right. So we opened the pay-per-view with Flash Funk taking on Hunter Hearst Helmsey. I mean, they even gave Flash Funk pyro when he came out. He's like one of the only people they got one. I think because they took the Funkettes away from him, they're like, all right, give us some pyro.
Yeah. We're saving on the Funkettes so you can have some pyro.
God damn it, pal. Those Funkettes cost $2,000 a week. How much is the pyro? $400? Get the pyro.
And for some reason, JR informs us that Flash has got 6 kids at home.
Well, fuck. What other job does he have besides wrestling? Because goddamn.
Oh, dear. And the Funkettes aren't going to be there because they're intimidated by China. Well, that's not unsurprising, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I believe that. Totally. They probably didn't just, release them.
Of course not. The fact we never see them again is neither here nor there.
They were so scared of China, they left forever.
Yeah.
They said, we're never coming back. Yeah, I mean, So, like, while I don't understand why they had this match, because Hunter Hearst Helmsey is currently, I guess, in a feud with Goldust, but I don't know why they're facing Goldust then. They also mentioned that Triple H is a close friend of John F. Kennedy Jr., which I thought was really funny that that JR would say that. They'd probably get sued for some shit like that now.
Yeah. Unless he is. Unless he was.
That's true. I don't know what Triple H was into. Maybe he was.
The other thing with this match is they show a row of empty seats, and apparently these are for the Heart Foundation that bought their tickets through a scalper. Now, I believe that a scalper is the same thing as a ticket tout.
Yep.
That illegally gains tickets and then sells them on at an inflated price. So why are the Heart Foundation having to buy tickets through a scalper, for one? Two, why is the company not disciplining them for buying said tickets from said scalper?
Right.
And three, those tickets are illegal.
That's what I thought too, but I said, wait a minute. Government tickets, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. I don't know if it's illegal now, but in 1997, I know it was fucking illegal. I know you can do that shit. So who's snitching? Somebody's snitching is the first thing I thought. Who is it? Who's snitching around here? But yes, Glenn, excellent point. I thought the exact same thing. I said, hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah, all right. Say that they bought their own tickets. I mean, you don't have to put in that they're from a scalper.
So they also show us like this clip from Shotgun Saturday Night of China like giving a couple of low blows to Mankind, and I'm wondering if this, because I know Mankind and Triple H have like a big feud throughout 1997 in the summer, and I wonder if that's kind of the catalyst for how it started right there. Because I think they're trying to do something with Mankind where they're going to try to turn him babyface because they're about to do those interviews with JR. So I think they're trying to turn him a little bit. So I thought that was just like an interesting addition to it's basically nothing match.
Yeah.
I mean, the match was okay. It just didn't have any story behind it. You know what I mean?
No, that was it. It was a throwaway. It was a filler, really. They didn't have enough stories going on. With the Heart Foundation not actually defending the tag team titles, this was the sort of a filler match just to fill that gap.
Yeah, which they had a dark match. They had the dark match was Animal and Hawk versus Owen and Bulldog. So I don't know why they didn't just throw that on the pay-per-view.
Oh, right.
I guess that would have killed their whole storyline of the Heart Foundation had to buy tickets to get in here because they're already working.
So. Yeah, they were working.
Not to mention the fact that they all work for WWF anyway, but whatever. We're going to keep poking holes in this, and we're going to be poking holes in it all day.
Oh, God, yeah.
So, yeah, eventually China gets involved. She kind of lays out Flash over the Colson outside the ring.
Whacked right across the back. She knocked him in the next week.
She did. There was a lot of knocked in the next week on this pay-per-view, man.
Yeah.
Flash did some cool moves, but eventually he goes for a 450 splash on the top rope of Triple H, knocks it down. He hits the suplex and a pedigree for a win. Like I said, decent match, but could have been a match on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was, as I say, it was an acceptable opener.
Yes.
For what it was, 10 minutes 15, it was all right.
And then after the match, China picks up Flash Funk like he's a child and drops some balls first on the top rope. Now, I don't know if she asked if he said, China, will you please drop me balls first on that top rope? I've got 6 kids at home and I don't want 7. Now, maybe that happened. I don't know.
Yeah, it may be.
Might have happened. They then show us some footage of Ken Shamrock whooping people's asses in the UFC, and I was like, they should have showed me this on Raw, not his fucking family.
Yeah, exactly. Why did we see him horse riding and all the rest of it? Now you believe he's the world's most dangerous man because you see him whipping us.
I mean, that was like, well, that does it for me. They do an interview with Ken Shamrock, and I guess he was attacked by Vader and Mankind before at the free for all before the pay-per-view. So they kind of just asked him about that a little bit. He didn't really say anything Interesting. He's in his zone, and you can't get in his zone.
Yeah, I'm in the zone.
Yeah. Even when Mankind and Vader whipped his ass, he's still in his zone.
And what comes later, I'm not surprised he had to be.
Yeah, good Lord. Somebody they were in some kind of zone. Lord Jesus, they got knocked out of the zone and back into it a couple times. The next match, Glenn, is like Mankind is going to take on Rocky Maivia. It's crazy to think where these two's careers are going to go and how intertwined they are going to be when you look at this. It's crazy.
That's right. Yeah, we get Rocky before, so maybe success came too soon for him.
Oh, we do, Glenn, and if we do, we're going to have to hear what. I have the Rock. Hold on, I just got to add it. I have the Rock's promo right here. We got babyface Rocky, and I didn't think this one was so bad compared to a lot of his other promos.
No.
Did it come too quickly for Rocky Maivia? Did success come too soon?
Yeah, you know what, Todd? Maybe success did come too soon. But at the same time, I've learned a whole hell of a lot here in the World Wrestling Federation. I even surprised myself with the success I've had. Like I said, I learned a whole hell of a lot on the way up, but I also learned a whole hell of a lot more on the way down. And you know what, Todd? This isn't about my destiny. This is about my determination.
About determination.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was the best match we've seen from Rocky Maivia.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, it's that thing, isn't it? It's Mankind. It's Mick Foley. Can you have a bad match with him?
And especially like a character like, man, not really a character, but just like a person that Mick is. He's very giving, and he gave a lot to The Rock in this match. And he's not shy about letting you beat him up a little bit, which he let Rocky do. The only problem with this is like the crowd didn't give a shit about none of it until the very end. They were not into it at all.
No. Well, you see, part of that is this was again, it's another thrown together match. At that time, I didn't know that it was going to be the first The Rock versus Mankind of many matches.
Right.
And there'd been no build up to it. It's not as though Rocky had any dealings with Mankind or Vader or Paul Bearer, had he? So he hadn't even come to the ring to help the Undertaker when he got attacked.
Right. So I had heard that the plan for this was supposed to be Mankind versus Sid, but since Sid came up injured, they had to just stick Rocky in there, and that's kind of why you get this cold match here.
Yeah.
But yeah, like The Rock even hits a rock bottom on the steel rampway on Mankind, which was fucking something that you didn't see a lot of, and that it got a reaction from maybe 5 or 6 people that were near it, but that's it. Like nobody even reacted to that. Like The Rock could have took out a gun and shot him, and they wouldn't have made a sound.
That's what I put that the crowd were dead along with Mankind.
Yeah.
Onto the steel.
Yeah, definitely. Then The Rock almost gets the win with an inside cradle. And then he hits a big clothesline to the back of Mankind's head. He even hits the shoulder breaker, but doesn't go for the cover. He heads up to the top rope. And this was really cool. Rocky hits that big cross body, but Mankind rolls straight through and puts the mandible claw in his mouth. And
that's excellent. He's so good at doing that. He didn't even realize it was happening until they called it on the commentary. That's what he'd done.
Yeah, really, really well done. And that got a big reaction from the crowd. When the crowd realized that he was about to choke The Rock out, then everybody got up and started.
This guy we've been booing for weeks, so that they're trying to put him across as a babyface, is now going to die at the hands of Mankind. That makes us happy.
Yeah. And I know it's coming up soon that The Rock gets injured, and Rocky's going to get injured. He's going to go away for a while, and he's going to come back and join the nation. So, looking forward to when that comes around. So then the next match is going to be the Gauntlet match. They show us a replay of, last week when Crush had a Gauntlet match, and the last person was Ahmed Johnson in an awful Green Bay Packers jacket beating up Crush. And then, did you notice when the White Rappers came out? Their hearts were in the performance, man.
Oh yeah, they were definitely putting on a pay-per-view worthy of performance. They were well into it.
They were like, Listen what I'm saying. This for real. I'm not playing. Faarooq is the man, so hit your knees and stop praying. Terrence Mason is the man, crossing T's and dotting I's. He always tells the whole truth and never tells a lie. They look like they just got up.
Yeah.
And then, Glenn, we get to hear the promo goal of Ahmed Johnson.
Ahmed, the odds, no doubt,
Gotcha.
stacked against you.
You know what? The odds are always stacked against me. But Faarooq, if you're any kind of man, you step in the ring first. See, this is about me and you. This ain't about the other two goons you brung. But I tell you what, since you bring them to the party, they might as well dance. And I tell you what, after tonight, me or you all, somebody's going to the end.
Well, this is picking holes, I know. But the problem with that statement is if Crush beats him, then nobody goes to the end. It's all over. The only one that can go to the end is him.
I got mixed up in his words.
Mm.
I think that's what happened.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess it makes sense because he's really angry, and if I was really angry, I might not get my words correctly either. So I guess it makes sense. We shouldn't give him so much grief, I guess.
No, that's true. Yeah. See, it would have made sense if we said, because I'm going to the end.
Yeah. And maybe that's what he was planning on saying, but he just got,
Just
wrapped up
got
in
it.
words.
We've never credited Ahmed with great promos, especially when he hasn't got his friend 2x4 there with him.
Right, he was missing the 2x4, which I don't know why. There must not have been one left over. A Hacksaw Jim Duggan had to be at the Richmond, Virginia Coliseum. He had to have been.
Yeah.
So they tell us Faarooq's got the flu and he's still got the arm sling. The whole nation's down there until Gorilla Monsoon makes his way down and kicks them all out. Says, get the fuck out of here. You guys got to go. So we're going to start off with Crush versus Ahmed Johnson. Out of the 3 matches that Ahmed's going to have here, this was probably the best one, but that's not saying a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that Ahmed didn't try to use a Falcon Arrow very often. Because that was the ugliest thing I ever saw.
Oh, it wasn't good. No, it was not. Crush landed a really nice super kick in this match, which you don't see a lot of super kicks from Crush, but I thought it was a nice little super kick.
Yeah.
And I don't know who sat in the back and thought, yeah, Ahmed Johnson can have 3 matches in a row. He's winded after 4 minutes. 4 minutes, he's tired, and then he wants to have 4 matches. 3 matches. Come on.
Yeah, he's a little bit muscle bound and easily blown up, isn't he? Cardio is not his strong point.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ahmed Johnson lifts a lot, does a lot of squats, doesn't run the treadmill that much. Definitely not. At one point, Crush locked in a sleeper, which was ironic because I started to fall asleep a little bit watching this.
I love that the nation decided that they were more frightened of Gorilla Monsoon than they were keen to help their compatriot.
They were not. They stood at the ramp, but they would not go down to the ring. Gorilla.
Yeah. And
Monsoon, Gorilla Monsoon, that's what I meant.
Yes, I knew him. Ahmed finishes that off finally with a spin kick at 5 minutes 40. That went on 4 minutes 40 too long.
God damn, Glenn, that was only 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It felt like forever.
Yeah. The thing with these sort of gauntlet matches, they should be a quick squash. A quick squash, then a slightly harder match, then you go on to the sort of the boss encounter.
Right. He should have beat Crush quick, caught him with something quick when he wasn't paying attention. Had a little bit better, and I say Crush first and then Savio Vega. Savio Vega is a little bit better worker than Crush.
Yeah.
I think that would be better for the longer match. And then the end, Faarooq should have beat him in like a minute and 20 seconds.
That's right. Yeah, because he was well blown up by then, so that would have made sense.
Yeah. So Vega comes down, he's limping, but as he gets until he gets closer into the ring, and then you realize that that's all bullshit, and he's fine because he's not. Ahmed hits some big clotheslines, hits a big back body drop. I take it back, Glenn. Now that I think about it, this was the better match than the first one.
Yeah.
I take it back.
And that was down to Savio's bumping rather than because Ahmed really he's a few blinks away from being asleep here. He's that blown up.
Yeah, he really is. So Savio Vega, he somebody how the turnbuckle pad gets exposed, and Savio Vega laid in the gentlest turnbuckle corner smash to the head I've ever seen. He just barely tapped on Johnson's head. he did it lovingly.
Yeah. Don't want to hit him too hard. I was knock him out.
Well, maybe wake him up. That's what I would have been thinking.
To be fair, the end to this one, it is genius. You don't lose it, you get disqualified. But in the process, you beat the guy up for your leader to come in next with a chair before you go.
Yeah.
No, okay. That was about the only decent bit of storytelling in this match. Or this series of matches, whichever way you want to put it.
Yeah, it was the last match against Faarooq here because I mean that's like John said in the promo, it's all really between Faarooq and Johnson. He brought those other guys with him, so they got really nothing to do with this. It's between these two because it started between these two. So yeah. So Faarooq comes down, rips the arm sling off, so nothing's wrong with him. He starts, punishing Johnson.
Yeah.
12. I got to get myself back together. Sorry, he starts punishing Ahmed, is what I should have said.
Yeah,
almost went to the inside cradle, but Faarooq kicks out. Ahmed Johnson said a spine buster and a Pearl River plunge, but because he's so injured from being beaten with the chair, he's not able to get the pin right away. So when he finally does, Faarooq kicks out. Faarooq then hits a chop block on Ahmed Johnson, then hits the Dominator and gets the win, Glenn. And the nation will live on, and so will this feud.
They have to have the oxygen ready. The back for Ahmed here because he was definitely out. He was running on fumes at this point.
He didn't even have the energy to try to chase the people down from the nation to beat them up. Can't do it.
He didn't even have the energy to argue with the referee properly.
No, like I said, I don't know whoever thought that him wrestling 3 matches in a row was a good idea, but it wasn't.
No.
Ahmed Johnson was great in short doses. He's like Goldberg, you know what I mean?
This could have been. They could have had the 3, but this could have all been sort of condensed into 5 minutes, which would have been fine for Ahmed and everybody concerned. Squash crush in a couple of minutes. Then have Savio come in, do a couple of moves, and then go into hitting him with the chair and get disqualified. And then you have a 3 or 4 minute match with Faarooq. And that would have been fine, but they just stretched it out too long.
Yeah, it was like half the pay-per-view.
They
had no right to be half the pay-per-view. So Glenn, business is about to pick up because the next match is Vader versus Ken Shamrock in a no DQ MMA type match. You can only win by knockout or submission. It was weird because they showed a graphic that said there was a standing 8 count, and when the graphic went away, JR informed us that there were no standing 8 counts. Which I'm glad they didn't, because that would have been really bad if it had standing 8 counts. It was bad. Like, I didn't even like the fact that they made a break in the rope so much. You know what I mean? Like at first.
Yeah, but there was a reason for that. Because they told a good bit of the story with that because Vader was using that to his advantage.
Right.
Ken Shamrock was totally confused by it.
Yeah, because you're not allowed in the UFC. There are no ropes.
No.
You just can't grab the cage, and if you're fighting against it, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, besides like Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Undertaker, I thought Ken Shamrock got the biggest reaction from the crowd. He got a big reaction when he came out.
So perhaps riding horses and the rest of it have actually done the trick for him.
Yeah, maybe we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, Glenn. So Shamrock lands like some stiff kicks to Vader's legs, and I legit think these pissed Vader off.
Yeah, they definitely look like it. Because Vader at that point was using it, was messing about a bit, and just going to the outside, and then he realised that he was actually in a fight. I think.
Yeah, he figured it out pretty quick. Because those kicks snapped, and there wasn't nobody slapping their leg in this match. No one would have slapped their leg in this match. This was violence.
Yeah. Again, it was that sort of thing. Ken was trying. It was really good because Vader was frustrating Ken Shamrock with his wrestling savvy.
Yep.
That every time Ken Shamrock tried to lock something in, as soon as Vader escaped from it, he was out the ring as quick as possible, knowing that there's no 10 count or anything. So
yeah, and then Ken Shamrock. I know Vader had to have helped do this because Ken Shamrock did like an overhead belly to back suplex on Vader. And I know Ken Shamrock's strong, but I don't think he would have been able to throw Vader all the way over without Vader jumping. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's it. Yeah. But then at some point, after Shamrock's thrown in more stiff kicks, it looked like Vader really gave him a receipt with a very stiff, short forearm.
Oh yeah, he fucking leveled him with that. And I think we told the mayor as soon as I got done watching this, go check this out. You need to see this match. And he said he watched it during his lunch break, and he mentioned those too. Like he said he thinks that short arm clothesline, the forearm to the face, was probably a receipt for those kicks. And then Vader picks him up for a front suplex and just drops him over the top rope all the way to the fucking floor.
That was my oh god moment. It wasn't carefully putting him over there. He just boom, like a sack of spuds. He just went down.
People weren't doing this yet, but a holy shit chant should have broke out for that because good God. Because I thought I was like, oh, he's going to drop him down across the top rope. And then when he dropped him over the top rope, I was like, holy fucking shit.
And that floor didn't have any padding or anything like they do nowadays.
It was like probably that thin. It wasn't anything that's going to help you.
Judo mats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they start trading punches on the ramp then, and then Vader again levels Ken Shamrock with the right hand. And I think Ken Shamrock hit his head on the steps when he fell back too, because the steps were right behind him when he fell. And if you've never seen this match, or even if you have before, go watch it because this thing was fucking amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a precursor to Gunther matches.
Yeah, this match could have been on NXT UK. It would have been a main event on NXT.
It would have, yeah. I know at one point Vader actually decided to wrestle him and try to get him into a leg lock.
Which you don't see often from Vader.
Because Ken is pretty nifty at getting out of submission holds like that. Because this is what he'd been doing with Shoot Fight. So Vader gets really pissed off with the fact that he's escaped again. So he wallops him so straight he flies into the corner.
Like, there's no way you can't tell me they weren't firing live rounds in there.
No.
I don't know if they just went up into each other in the back and said, "All right, motherfucker, just hit me. I don't care."
Yeah. I think that was case. I think that probably a case that it was. It was a meeting of minds. We don't care if we hurt each other. It is like that Ilya and Walter thing. As we don't care if we hurt each other as long as it looks good.
Right, just don't break teeth. That's all I care about.
Yeah. And then Vader goes up for his patented moonsault, but Ken gets out of the way of it. He just splat onto the mat. So you don't actually see him miss them very often.
No, well, not so much in WCW, but in WWE, I feel like he misses out a lot.
And that sets up Shamrock for the comeback.
Yeah, Ken starts like firing punches and kicks to Vader. He hits a big slam. He tries to lock in a couple of submissions, but Vader keeps getting in the ropes. He starts landing punches and like knees to Vader's face in the corner. And then Vader finally just gets sick of this shit and fucking mollywops him one good more time and knocks him down flat on his back.
Backhand. he had the savvy and the good manners not to physically punch him, but he gave him such a backhander.
Yeah, he felt like a ton of bricks. But then Vader tries to like swoop in for the kill. But then Shamrock's able to lock in the ankle lock, and Vader taps out, and Shamrock is going to get the win here. So I don't think like tapping out really wasn't a thing in WWE, WWF. I think this might be one of the first times we've seen it. Usually you had to say I quit.
Yeah. Well, it was basically the UFC rules, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
So.
But I literally, if in 1997, if you had a friend who never watched wrestling and you showed them that and you said wrestling was real, I'd fucking believe it.
Yeah, a lot of people would. They looked like they were hurting each other.
Because they fucking were hurting each other. That's why. That was fucking, yeah. We could talk about it all day. It was an amazing match.
They certainly weren't working light there.
Oh, God.
Yeah. You see some of the guys, they were always going on about how stiff Leon worked. Well, you got another guy in there that's saying, please work stiff with me. Of course he's going to.
Right, he's not going to have any problem with that whatsoever. Yeah. So next up, it's the main event. Stone Cold Steve Austin going to take on the Undertaker, and we get an Austin promo, and they're always gold.
The Hart Foundation will be
I don't give a damn about 5 empty seats, because all that means is that the Hart family is going to be that much closer to Stone Cold Steve Austin. And after I whip the Undertaker's ass, I'll take all 5 of them and send all 5 of them straight back to Calgary in a bunch of wheelchairs. I don't know if the Undertaker's checked the weather lately, but I'll be damned if hell ain't about to freeze over, and that's the bottom line.
A bit of foreboding of what's to come. I love that.
Yeah, that was some good shit.
They're much closer to me. Get my hands on them.
So now we have got the two biggest baby faces in the company right now, main eventing for one for the title. Both men get to the ring and they have a little bit of a stare down, but then Glenn, these illegal ticket scalpers who illegally bought their tickets from a scalper are coming from the back to get to their seats.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they just should let them in the back door after all.
Yeah. You know, last time I got some scalp tickets to the Nebraska game, I just walked onto the field with the players.
Yeah, of course you did. in front of the players' entrance.
Yep, absolutely. I was in the tunnel walk. I was there. Yeah, absolutely. But the crowd was going, like, you can't say that they were cheering, but there was just like a buzz in that arena as soon as they come out. And Pillman's great. He's on the barricade. He's swinging the crutches. That was amazing.
It was a sign that shit's about to go down.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, the whole aura of the building changed as soon as they came out. It was pretty incredible to see. And JR even said on commentary, like, I wish you could be here with us to feel what this energy is like. And you could almost feel it through the TV screen. You know what I mean?
What made me laugh is this is the real ultimate. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
Is that they both actually stopped the match and went down there and had a go at the bloody Hearts.
Yeah, it happens multiple times. So Austin, of course, takes the opportunity of the Undertaker being distracted. He starts beating him up. Undertaker can get his belt or his cape off. Austin just stops beating the Undertaker up, goes outside the ring, pulls Owen Hart over the barricade, and starts whooping his ass.
Yeah.
Undertaker comes out, punches Austin a few times, throws him into the ring steps, and then punches Owen right back into his seat, and then punches Davey for good measure.
Yeah, punches Owen back in the seat.
That was so great. Because it was just like you remember, I think this was, we saw it, but like Paul Bearer was on one side of the ring and Undertaker was wrestling, and he literally just hit the fall out of the ring, land on his feet, and just punch Paul Bearer in the face. And
Yeah.
this was sort of like that. It was just fucking amazing. And then the King tops it off with, "They can't be hitting fans. Are you kidding me? You can't be hitting fans." And JR's like, "Are you getting emotional?" There was some good banter between those two in this match.
Then we get hit with rope walk for Taker. He gets a 2 count. And JR insisting that Brian Pillman is not a member of the Hart Foundation. Yes, he is.
I thought he was. What is he, Bret Hart's nurse?
Yeah.
The wheelchair pusher? I don't get it. And then it seemed like there were some people in the crowd were fucking with the Harts. And I gotta wonder, how many beers does it take for you to think you could fuck with Davey Boy Smith or Jim Neidhart? Like, what makes you think?
Never enough. Never enough.
No, I've never had enough beer or any substance to think that was a good idea.
There is a reason why in a shoot fight I never picked on Davey. And that's because he's a big bastard.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that because I saw like multiple people being removed from the crowd by security. We saw Jim Neidhart like screaming at a fan and screaming at the security for them to do their job. So if they would have tried to come through the crowd, it would have been even more of a scene.
Yeah. For those that don't know, I'll quickly tell the story for those that haven't heard it. Back in the day, I did a charity wrestling match with my tag team partner at the time. It was against the British Bulldogs. It was set up by a wrestler who's on World of Sport a few years earlier. I don't think he was still wrestling called Zoltan Boschek. He owned a pub just down the road from the venue where we did this. He was good mates with my dad. That's how we ended up getting involved in this. But after the match, after the show had finished, we all went back to the pub. Obviously, had quite a few more beers. People will start play wrestling and everything. Of course, Davey being Davey, he's having an argument with Tom, the Dynamite Kid.
Yeah.
That I could beat him in a shoot judo match. And of course, everybody being on the slightly drunk side goes, "All right, go for it." So there's us two rolling around. And I managed to submit him with an armbar. And that is how I became A, armbar Abbott, and B, I got the thing originally from Jeremy that now Brent uses as a dynamite stretching.
Yes. I did not make that beginning thing up. The only thing I make up was what Glenn's more over than, and most of the time I can't even do that right. I stole that from Glenn's former co-host Jeremy.
Yeah. So that's where that all came from.
Yeah. That, and Glenn had one less tooth at that point as well.
Yeah. I got kicked out of my mouth in the ring.
There's a lot of wrestling podcasts, but none of them can claim they have less teeth than this wrestling podcast. Yeah, so I mean, I was surprised we got a lot of good submission wrestling in this match. You guys had a lot of submission holds.
We certainly did.
And another thing about like Austin and Undertaker, and they'll have a lot of matches during the Attitude Era, and I always think that their timing always seems a little bit off, and so they weren't always the best dance partners in the ring. But I didn't think that was the case in this match.
No, this is why I actually, when people go on about America Badass Taker, I actually think he was probably doing his best work at this time, his best in-ring work anyway.
Yeah.
He was at his sharpest. He certainly was moving quite well.
Yep.
The hips hadn't quite disintegrated to the state where he could hardly walk yet. And as you say, he was still doing the things like going over the top rope and landing on his feet, and the occasional dive over the top rope.
Yep.
Which shows that he was still a fairly sound condition.
Yeah. No, I mean, he later in his career, you would see that dive over the top rope, but you would only see it at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You would only do it once.
But yeah, and unfortunately, as we go on through 97 into 98 and 99, we will see the disintegration of the Undertaker, and in effect of his physical well-being deteriorates very quickly, which is sad.
I think we'll see a lot of him wrestling injured too. Is another
thing.
Austin hits like a chop block on the Undertaker. He starts to work on the knee. He even wraps the Undertaker's knee around the ring post a couple of times, and then he turns around and lets the Hart Foundation know that they are indeed number one.
There was a lovely little bit in this for JR on when Austin tries an STF. JR calls it, and Lawler says to JR, "What's an STF? Oh, what's it stand for?" And Ross quips, "Maybe if you moved outside of Memphis, you'd learn a new move."
Yeah. It's some good banter between these two during the show. Really, really good stuff. Undertaker goes through old school. Austin sending some crashing down balls first on the top rope, though, this time. And then Austin goes through a superplex, but Taker is able to counter it with like a front suplex from the top rope. At one point, the Undertaker locks in a sleeper hold, but Austin counters they called it like a modified stunner, but it was more like the Undertaker's jaw to the top of Austin's head.
It was a jawbreaker, yeah.
And then this was another funny part. Austin low blows the Undertaker in front of the referee. Hebner starts giving Austin the business, don't do that. He turns around, Austin flips him off while he turns around. And then Taker then low blows Austin. Austin tries to complain to the referee, and the referee's like, "Hey man, you kicked him in the balls," and then flips Austin off, which was really
cool. At this point, this was the strange bit. Just after this, after all that, there's a choke slam, and then which Austin rolls out the ring, which he would do, so you don't get pinned. And then he gets back in, and Undertaker sets up the stunner on Austin, and Brian Pillman rings the bell. Now, how did he get the belt to start with?
It was an overzealous fan, glad is what the King said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then the whole thing stops because they're all wondering why the bell's ringing, and then Pillman, and then the Undertaker gets Austin in a tombstone, but then Austin counters, but then Undertaker counters again, hits the tombstone for the 3 count, and then as soon as the bell rings, everybody but Bret Hart's in a wheelchair gets in the ring, and I'm thinking to myself, these stupid motherfuckers, at least one of you needs to stay with the fucking guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah, standing guard.
If I'm Bret Hart, I'm going, hey.
The fact Jimmy Neville Neidhart came back specifically as Bret's minder.
Yeah.
So why is he not at least? Then the other 3 get on with it and standing back there and mind Bret.
Right. Yeah, I thought that was weird too. So Austin goes out and sees Bret over there. He goes and just dumps Bret out of the wheelchair, which I thought was funny. Grabs Bret's crutch. He hits the ring. Him and the Undertaker kind of clear the ring of all of them together. Austin then gives a stunner to the Undertaker, and then he chases the Harts off. And the Undertaker gets up and chases Austin off as the show goes off the air. I think that this is probably by far the best pay-per-view we've reviewed so far.
Yeah. Apart from the Ahmed Johnson nonsense, I would recommend people go back and watch all of this. Fast forward through that bit, but apart from that, this is definitely a pay-per-view worth watching.
And even if you watch the fast forward until you get to the part where Savio Vega's beating Ahmed Johnson with the chair, and just watch
it. Watch it from there.
Yeah, because the last match is really fun with all the the Heart Foundation being involved and all that stuff. So that was really fun. Even the first two matches that didn't really have any story behind them were still good matches. And they were
Good matches. Yeah, that was the thing. They were good matches, and both of them, in their ways, had little bits in that were of things to come, shall we say?
Yeah, definitely did. And it shows you like kind of like a turn of different people's characters. Like you're seeing a different side of Mankind. You're seeing maybe a little bit of a different side of Triple H, where he's stepping out of that, rich snob thing into like just a fucking overall prick. And yeah, so now we're headed to King of the Ring will be our next pay-per-view that we review, but we will start looking at more Raws next week.
That was another thing I forgot to mention on that. In that Triple H match, there was a reference to him getting punched on the nose, and the King says, "How could you miss that nose?"
The first dig at the giant nose, yeah. So, Glenn, I think we're both 2 thumbs up on this one, right?
2 thumbs up. Yep.
Well, Glenn, what do we need to do? Who do we need to plug before we get out of here?
I'm booking the territory with Danny and Rob. Excuse me, I'm getting a bit uncomfortable here. They've just finished their very last episode of Unbooking the Tankatory. So no more Tank Abbott. So we're passing the baton on to us then for Sid. DDT Wrestling with DC and Doc. Bang Bang Podcast with Andy. He'll be back soon. He's just finishing up his exams for his shoot job, and he'll be back. And then, of course, if you're a sci-fi fan out there, there's the Doctor Who podcast with Danny and Si.
Yeah, make sure you check that out. Also, if you haven't listened to our new show out where we all gave our top 10 list of worst gimmicks of all time, that is on YouTube or wherever you listen to on your favorite podcast app. There was a lot on that show. I suggest you watch the YouTube version because we did watch an Arachnaman match, a little bit of one, and we watched the debut match of Fantasio, where he debagged people. And if you're American, you don't know what debagging means, you'll have to listen to that show or watch it so you can see what debagging is. I assure you do want to know. Check that out if you haven't already. Give the other part of our podcast team, the Mayor of Canton, a follow. It's at Mayor of Canton. He does any over the Mayor every Wednesday where he tries fast food so you don't have to, or makes you want to eat it, or in Glenn's case, too bad that you can't fucking have it. And make sure you check out Sports Wire Radio. Give our buddy Thomas Bryce a follow on all of the social medias, X or Twitter or Instagram, Threads, whatever it is. Make sure you do it. Follow us on TikTok. We're on TikTok now, but we'll be doing no dancing for the time being. And the new show, I Don't Know Shit, The Life and Times of Psycho Sid, will be coming your way soon. So be on the lookout for that. I think that's it, Glenn. I don't have anything else, right?
No, that's it.
And then that means there's the only thing left to do, and that's for Glenn to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
I stole that from Germany too, by the way.